This is Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and you're listening to the Paranormal Zone.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen. It does happen.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Podcast description. No more quirky bullshit things.
Yeah, and I will not say the word.
Yeah, don't say that. Don't say it.
I didn't.
Don't even insinuate it.
Yeah,
This is difficult enough as it is.
it is.
Is there anything else we can yammer about for another 10 minutes or so?
No, we better hit the road here. Let's jump on it.
Okay, hit the paranormally zone. Hit the paranormally zone paranormal road. Yeah, we actually have a topic, believe it or not. Something that we agreed upon last night. I mean, it wasn't like a very well thought out plan.
But
Shocking.
I think your last text about it, I think I was already in bed and sleeping.
Probably.
Yeah, so.
I apologize for that too. I apologize for those late night random texts.
I don't mind. It doesn't bother me at all.
Okay. Are you sure? You positive?
Yes, and right now, I'm wondering how many people we are annoying.
Everyone. Every single one. All I know is, I'm going to tempt the podcasting gods because I am getting annoyed by how often we're freezing up here. I don't know if I am. Oh, really? You freeze up. You're like frozen most of the time on my end. So I'll just shut up. As long as the audio is coming through, that's all that matters.
Right. I'm totally fluid over here on my screen.
He's mostly fluid, boys and girls. Mike is mostly fluid.
90% or something like that? Or
yeah, something. That might be different for you.
Get rid of all the fluid in your body. You're not going to look the same, believe me.
You're about 90% fluid and like 5% whiskers. And and scullies. Well, that doesn't count. That's not part of your organic matter.
No.
Mike, something like a monster. That phrase popped into my brain the other day. And yes, that is how our weird paranormally zoned brains work sometimes. Sometimes it's a vision, sometimes it's a thought, sometimes it's a joke, sometimes it's a phrase, sometimes it's a word that kind of sparks our creative, well, quote-unquote creative minds when it comes to thinking of something cool and interesting to talk about. And yeah, something like a monster popped into my brain, so went pew right down that monster that monster rabbit hole. And it's like, how can we incorporate that into some solid podcast content? And I think we came up with a good idea. Mike is now feverishly wailing away upon his dog yet again, which is another common occurrence during the Paranormal Zone recordings. The moment we start recording, his once silent dogs, I am not kidding, they could be laying there for the entire hour and a half that Mike are sitting here and BSing and getting ready for the podcast, totally silent. The moment those mics come on, not such the case. And now Mike disappeared or he fell over. I'm not sure what happened to him because I'm not seeing him anymore, boys and girls. So I'm going to keep talking here. So, Mike, is everything good on your end over there? Okay, good.
Good. I heard that.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. Are you back? Is everything okay?
Yeah, I maced my dog, and I think she's going to be okay now.
Oh, good.
No, I did not do that.
Okay, that's kind of coincidental that you have a dog named Macy as well, and you maced the other one.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Mike, do you think you ever had any monstrous, well, I guess monster-ish or monstrous encounters? A monstrosity. Have you ever had any sort of encounter that you maybe, perhaps, possibly could misconstrue as monstrous in nature? I mean, we're going all the way back to our childhood here. We're talking like even nightmares or, I don't know, something that stands out to you at all? Thank you.
Well, as a young child, I had been through some things that were quite frightening that ended up being nothing I think I told the one story on the show, episode about the time I had to sleep on a cot in our basement. And this was a very old house in a very creepy basement. And my brother and I did. And all of a sudden we heard this banging like crazy on the furnace, like somebody was just pounding on it. And I was like, Steve, what is that? And he's like, I don't know. And I remember saying very faintly, do you think it's a ghost? But anyway, I mean, it's finally slowed down. But the next day, my dad looked into the whole thing. He found a robin in there, had gotten like down the chimney or something.
Sure.
So it was a robin trying to get out, but it scared the hell out of me.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, well, imagine how scared that bird was.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was okay. Dad let it go, and it was good.
I found a dead squirrel in my wood furnace a few years back.
Really?
In the prior house I lived in. Yeah, unfortunately, one of them fell into the inescapable, I don't know, depths of heat and claustrophobic terror. And because I was hearing something screeching or scratching and screeching. It's like, what the frickin' heck is going on? Then lo and behold, you go to open up the wood furnace to throw some wood in there. Totally just dilapidated, dehydrated,
dried
just
up,
frizzled, dried up squirrel sprawled out there. It's like, oh, God dang it. Poor thing.
Crispy critter.
Well, it wasn't crispy. It had just died a slow, horrible death, and it just had been in there for a while. So it's like, that's a monstrosity in itself. My God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
The thing that popped into my brain, too, when I was thinking about childhood, monstrous. I can't speak today. Monsterish or monstrous. That sticks out in my childhood memory is the thing I've mentioned several times, that absolutely terrifying nightmare I had where, cripes, I might have been having a sleep paralysis moment where my memory tells me that it was one of those creatures from the Dark Crystal. And it was the good ones. It wasn't even the creepy sketskis. It was the other ones. I'm drawing a blank on what they were called. But man alive, I out on the farmhouse, a little kid, probably 5 years old, whatever, on the floor, leaning up against my wall. I could see my bedroom door, and I could see my bed to the right. So obviously I was out of my bed. I thought I was awake, and then the door slowly opens. I see that correctly, whatever the hell type of hand you want to see or describe, reach around the door, slowly push it open, and then that creepy old face peek around the door, looking at me, moaning like they do in the damn movies, or singing, or whatever the heck they do.
Some Gregorian chant.
Yeah, exactly. And I also realized I made up a lot of words there when I was trying to think of a good adjective. I said like creechy, and cresty, like the toothpaste.
Then you jump all over me for botin or tooken.
I know. I'm a little.
You got a whole litany of crap that you just spewed out.
My mind is in a flux today, and I'll explain to you why when we're done recording. I had to make a phone call at 3:00 today for a very important phone call, and I'll let you know what that was all about. Nothing bad. It's all good.
I was supposed to make a phone call this morning, very, very important, but I haven't yet. So now I'm going to wait till Monday.
And everything's closed on Monday.
Oh, that's right. It'll be Tuesday. Well, that'll be another day before I have to deal with that phone call.
So, anywho, when I look back, more than likely it was a nightmare. I've always remembered it of a nightmare, but it's kind of remembered it as a nightmare. Sorry, but it's kind of fun and creepy and interesting to think about it. Maybe I had a legit encounter with something other than what was going on in my little childlike nightmare at that time. Was it my interpretation of some sort of quote unquote monster, Mike, that was in that house? I mean, how scary is it to think of that as being a physical, like actual organic thing, whether or not it was in my mind or not, whether or not it was conjured up by my feeble childhood mind, or whether or not it was there. I love thinking about it. It kind of creeps me out. Kind of gave myself the chills. But it makes you wonder about a lot of stuff, Mike, that people do encounter or claim to encounter, throughout the years. I mean, some of the things that we've mentioned before we started recording, some of the stuff that I jotted down, a lot of it is like, shadowish in nature, right?
Right.
The shadow people. Hatman, shadow animals. I mean, let's not forget about shadow animals. That's that's fairly terrifying in itself. But is there some basis, some physical reality behind these quote unquote shadows, Mike? I guess that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. The possibility of misinterpreting your imagination, or maybe like, reality kind of crisscrossing, merging, so to speak, with your imagination, to create these monsters. Or as you said earlier, are they flipping real? I mean, it's going to be a good conversation.
Yeah.
We shall see where we're going.
How many dimensions are there actually? And if there's a higher advanced dimension and they can pop between dimensions, maybe that's what we're seeing. I don't know.
I like that thought. I like that idea too.
Mm-hmm.
As per usual, we are not prepared, but that's good. That makes for good conversation for Mike and I and our 4 loyal listeners. So again, if you have a problem, we've already talked about monsters a little bit, so you can't complain this time, Mr. Twister or lady, whoever you were.
What?
Lady? Again, in all sincerity, if you guys do enjoy the podcast, post some positive stuff about us on the old social media. It actually does help. It really does.
Well, and criticism, whether it's good or bad, it can be helpful.
Oh, 100%. 100%. When it's not snarky.
Oh, yeah. You don't need to get snotty and snarky about it.
Absolutely not. Or condescending, or, let's face it, as we have unfortunately endured, insulting as well.
Well, I can deal with that crap. I mean, that's nothing.
Well, Mike, we've been doing this for over a decade. We're immune to it, and so people are probably thinking, well, if you're immune to it, why the hell are you talking about for 5 minutes? Because it does get frustrating. I mean, because this is
sensitive people.
Well, yeah, but it's a creative endeavor. I mean, it really is, and we put ourselves out there. We put our thoughts out there. Yes, this is fun. We wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't fun. Plain and simple.
Exactly.
But this is, again, I'm repeating myself, a creative endeavor. And then when you get basically nothing but negative feedback regarding your creative endeavor, it can kind of be it's a downer every now and then. It really can be. So,
all right, Debbie.
Hey, come on. You're on my side here, Mike.
Yes,
you're on my side.
I am. And the fact that we are heard all over the world in these different countries, that just, it makes me feel like I'm out there.
Yes.
I have a voice that is reached around the world.
You do, in all sincerity. And that very button has also been heard to say this several times.
Buttons.
Yes, Mike's new catchphrase. You know what, Mike? Maybe we should make a Patreon exclusive T-shirt with buttons on there.
There you go.
And a picture of your face. How's that sound?
Yeah. Buttons. Yeah.
Or should we just have buttons? Or a big button with your face on it? I don't know.
Oh, geez. Yeah, sure. Get to work on that one.
Yeah, no, I think that's... Let us know, Patreon subscribers. Again, shockingly, we do have some Patreon subscribers. Would you guys like a T-shirt or a hoodie or something? Paranormal Zone related, of course, with the old...
Buttons.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Could work, Mike. Now we did briefly kind of describe or hint at what we are going to be talking about, but we cannot forget, Mike, our usual opening segment. I still don't have any music uploaded. I apologize, everybody. Wait, actually, I think I have a drum roll, Mike. So hush. Here we go. Here's a drum roll. Ready? This is going to happen. All right, that was so highly technical. That was awesome. It's time for Ghost Gab, boys and girls. And Mike, you got some good Ghost Gab. According to the text message you sent me the other day, lay it on us. What the hell is going on in your house?
Well, I get up in the morning, I have breakfast, I shower and shave.
Thanks for leaving out the other SH.
Yeah, shite. But anyway... Yes, the house has actually been a little active lately. It's been very interesting.
You don't say.
Detail?
Yes, please explain. Explain it, Mike.
Well, it started with Mary. She, a few days ago, or maybe a little over a week ago, we were laying in bed. She was awake, and I was sleeping at the time, and she said that an orb, like the size of a, what did I say, like a racquetball or something, like a small ball or
Oh, I think you said ping pong.
ping pong ball. Yeah, that's what she said. And it just floated like midway between the ceiling and floor, across the door, passing in front of the door inside the room. And, she just kind of thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
She handled it quite well, because she does have a hard time sometimes with knowing that there are spirits in this house. And like if we watch like a ghost hunting show laying in bed before we go to sleep, if she has to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, she wakes me up to walk with her.
Oh,
So,
sweet.
but anyway, which I do. But
and she just had her other hip replaced. So do you have to carry her now, or?
Oh no, she's doing great. She's
doing. Oh, that's good.
Really
that's great to hear.
But yeah. So there was that.
When she saw that ping pong sized, very clear orb, obviously to her it was not a bug or wasn't any sort of reflective giant piece of dust.
No. Yeah.
And did she tell you right away?
She told me first thing in the morning.
Okay, sweet.
So, and then after that, I think, was it me or was another one with Mary first? But anyway, Mary did see another orb. We were sitting on the couch and I was on my laptop and she was watching TV, and she said it went from the front of the living room, which, at the front of the house, again, like almost midway between the ceiling and the floor, and zipped through the living room and into the dining room. And she said that was about the size of the other one that she had seen. And,
really?
And I didn't see it because I was focusing on my laptop, probably answering and sharing some crap that you were getting pissed at me about that I didn't share yet.
Hey, come on now. What? Okay, hold on.
Yes.
I never get pissed, Mike.
Okay. All right.
I just
appreciate that.
I am adamant in my seemingly daily reminders to you.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, Mike, please share those links. Or I'll say, hey, have you shared those links? Or I'll say something along the lines, hey, I just posted something.
And if I don't answer, he throws out question mark.
Exactly.
Like, makes me feel like, boy, you know what I hear in my mind when I see that question mark?
Oh God.
I just see and hear Judge Smales going, well, we're waiting.
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. I can see that as well. I'm sorry, Mike.
No,
my goodness.
Okay. But anyway.
Continue. Yes.
Yes. So that was another interesting find. But like I said, I did not see it, and I wish I did. But, and she was very adamant, like, the word you used, that very clear that, this wasn't something that she just saw out of the corner of her eye or flickered over here. I mean, this was like actual sightings of this thing. Is it the same spirit energy, that, the two orbs, are they the same, or are they two different that are here at times or all the time? Who knows? But I think it was between those two events is when I got up in the middle of the night. The Great Pyrenees, she was just barking like crazy, wouldn't stop. And so I was going to she does that. They both do. But anyway.
And you weren't even podcasting at that time.
No. Was I? No. No. Oh, yeah. You're right. But anyway.
I hope you weren't. Oh, Mike's cheating on me with other podcasters. What the hell?
Yeah, right. No, can't do it. But anyway, so I was going to go get her in her kennel. And when I got her in the kennel, I was right by bookshelves, those antique bookshelves there at the front of the house in the living room there.
Sure.
And on top of it, I had they're Canadian Air Force wings, a pin for the uniform. And I remember putting it up there just, I don't know, less than a week ago. And I put it up there and I put it back far enough. And there's also like a little lip on top. So anyway, I was standing there by the kennel with the bookshelf to my back. and all of a sudden I heard something hit the floor right by my feet. And I looked, and here's this Canadian Air Force pin laying on the floor. And I was the only one out in the living room. Mary was in bed. And it was dark. I mean, it was really dark. I didn't have a light on, but I could see enough with the light that was coming through, seeing it on the floor, and I picked it up. And yeah, it just weirded me out which is kind of a pattern because things seem to, drop in here. Other items have, something came out of the ceiling by my podcast area that one time and, hit the floor. That was around the time that I got bonked on the head, I think.
Right, exactly.
As well, but
those dog tags, the dog tags that disappear and reappear.
They came back in two pieces, yeah. And both times they came back, they appeared and were thrown.
Hey, there you go, nice one.
They were thrown on the floor right by Mishka both times, and she was laying in two different spots at each time it happened. But they were her.
Okay, she wasn't cut in half at that time. Wow, that sounded weird how you said that. Yeah. She was laying in two different spots. Yeah. Well, what happened to Mishka?
For each happening there, yeah.
Gotcha.
But it was her dog tags, and they came back to her, but just couldn't do it all in one piece. Very bizarre. Very bizarre.
And when you texted this to me the other day, and I'm repeating myself to you, the vibe I got right away was, is your dad there playing tricks on you again to let you know that he's still around? Because
absolutely,
that was the vibe that I got, and I asked you if that's what you were feeling, and
yeah, I do believe that. It's because he's been here before, and and he was always the type of person that he loves a good joke, get your attention kind of thing,
and there's no way, and when you're thinking about it, there's no way physically that that pin could have moved on its own up over that lip.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I didn't bump the shelves or anything. They're pretty solid anyway. It didn't jiggle or anything like that. It just happened. And
jiggle. That's a word.
Jiggle. Wiggle it just a little bit.
I don't know. Jiggle. I think I'm going to add jiggle to my list of words that annoy me. I don't know why. Right up there with moist and jiggle. I don't know why. That just help me out. Maybe I have some neurosis that I need to be diagnosed with. I don't know, but
so I bet you didn't like Jello jigglers when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Or do you remember those at all?
I can see the commercials and stuff. I can see Jello jiggling, and it's just it's like, why does that look? That doesn't look appetizing at all. And I don't mind Jello, So
yeah, I don't even know if they sell those anymore.
Do they sell those Jellos? I'm not sure. I do not know.
Ask Bill Cosby.
Hey, now that was something totally different, right? Wasn't that like a different? I'm thinking of like actual Jello. What was it? Wasn't he pudding? He was.
Yeah, pudding. He was like pudding pops.
Yeah. There you go.
I didn't care for those too much either.
Nope, never a fan of pudding. Never, not a fan.
Oh, I love pudding. I just didn't like the pudding pops.
I think pudding is a word I don't like as well.
Pudding.
Maybe I'm just in a mood where everything bothers me. Every word.
I got a great big bowl of moist pudding, and
it jiggles. No. Well, that's pretty cool, though, Mike. You got some activity going on in your house there. That's always exciting. Keep an eye out for anything else. Obviously, maybe you should dust off some of the digital recorders and have a little EVP session.
There you go.
I think you should. You should. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more.
Say no more. Say no more.
Well, I suppose we better start talking about some monstrous stuff, Mike. I have a mush mouth when I'm trying to say that damn word today. Monstrous. Oofta. There we go.
It's a monstrosity.
And for those of you listening to us from around the world, yes, oofta is a word.
It is. It is a big word around here.
You know, it's another Minnesota Midwestern word, apparently, but perhaps more specifically Minnesotan, is oop. That's a word that Bridget and I were just talking about the other day. Like, how often during the day do we actually say that? It's like OOP or OPE or something.
Sometimes it's oop.
Yeah, right. Like you walk around the corner, someone's coming your way, and you go, "Oh,
Excuse me there. Oh, there she goes.
look into it, everybody." It's no joke. We have a different language up here sometimes, but
We do.
that's
And
pretty cool.
it all kind of connects with that Saint Earhole that does.
Hey, what you call them? What?
Saint Earhole.
Earhole.
Yeah.
Oh, earhole. Oh, okay.
Earhole.
Okay.
What's his real name? Euro or something like that? Aho.
I don't know.
He's a Norwegian.
Yeah. At first, I thought you called him an a-hole. I was like, what? Saint
No.
a-hole?
No. Earhole.
Okay. Speaking of ear holes, you need to move your microphone a little bit closer to your mouth hole a little bit, if you can.
How's that? Is that a little better?
That's a little better, yeah.
All right.
Thank you kindly, sir. Thank you kindly. Where the hell should we go here, Mike?
No, we're gone and off.
I know, that's great though.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my very professional notes. I wrote down a couple of descriptions, including one Oxford Dictionary description of the word monster.
Okay.
The first one is an imaginary creature that is typically large, ugly, and frightening. Keyword, imaginary. Okay? An Oxford Dictionary definition, one of several, but the closest one pertaining to our topic here, goes as such: something extraordinary or unnatural, such as a prodigy or marvel.
A prodigy or marvel.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a monster encounter to share as well, Mike. With this cool little book that I have here.
Oh yeah.
Monsters of the Midwest. Yeah, it's got some. I think we've shared stuff from that before, but not this particular one. It's pretty cool. Involved some winged humanoid-like creatures.
A winged creature.
Winged with apparently like a horn sticking straight out of its head that illuminated light. So what the hell's going on there? Sounds pretty monstrous. Hey, I said it. Finally. Good. Whew. Looking at my professional notes, like I said, I already kind of mentioned that childhood dream of mine. There's that creepy story I wanted to share about, like those, what we referred to back in the day as little kids. We, as in me and a friend of mine back in the day, like around 8 or so. The story that we recall titled our self-titled story, The Creepers. It's like, I'll save that towards the end. It's still creepy to us, but we'll swing it to relate to this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Thank you, Mike, for your contribution to the show. I cannot speak. I should stop before I get even worse.
I'm just letting you go because it's funnier than hell.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Mike just lets me just roll right off that cliff, and he just giggles and jiggles the whole time. I
have to mute my mic when I'm going to start laughing really hard. But while you're dicking around here,
for God's sakes,
I did have a very nightmarish dream that.
Well, do you want to take over the show? I'll be happy to sit back and let you take over.
Well, I don't need to share this story. I mean, I was just.
No, that's fine. I do you believe? No, not that share. Oh, I get you. Share. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so I must have been maybe 6-ish, maybe around that age, and when I think I've told this story on here before too. But anyway, in my dream, I got out of bed, so it's like like a real. It's like like it's really happening. I'm in bed, but I'm getting out of it, but it's actually in my dream.
Sure.
And I walk out of the bedroom into this hallway. It was a very old house. It was a short hallway that had, the bedrooms that, on one wall, the other wall, in the bathroom, and these. But anyway, I went out of the bedroom, and all of a sudden something had me on the floor. I was on my stomach, and something was grabbing onto my feet and pulling me into my mom and dad's room, and it was like pitch black in there, where I was gonna I could just see myself disappearing into darkness. But and I was clawing at the floor trying to get away, and where I was at on the floor, the door going down to the stairs was right in front of me on the other side of the hall, and I could hear the TV on downstairs. I could hear my mom and dad talking, and it's like just a normal thing down there. And here I'm trying to scream, and nothing comes out.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's just pulling me into the darkness, and it was terrifying.
Oh my
And
gosh, that sounds horrifying.
I remember that dream like it happened last night. It's so stuck in my head. But
Oh
anyway,
man. Now let's kind of twist that a little bit. Think about if that was actually something that might have happened, Mike, like you
Right.
mentioned earlier, like something from perhaps a breakthrough that paranormal veil, right? Something perhaps you did experience in another dimension. I don't know. It's kind of terrifying to think of it. I mean, it's a terrifying dream. Wow, it sounds like someone just crashed out in our kitchen right now. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Pots and pans and dinner all over the place.
Oh, you did hear the pots and pans.
I
Okay.
did.
Oh man.
But yeah, what if this was actually a shadow person that was
Right.
coming out of that darkness, and grabbing me and pulling me
Oh.
back in?
Now, when you think of shadow people in general, Mike, do you think of them as being monstrous in nature? Or do you think of them more as ethereal? Or do you think of them as possibly being a physical entity, so to speak?
Well, they seemed like just more of this an entity of just energy to me. But how many times do you hear that they've actually hurt anybody? Isn't it usually mostly the person feeling that dread and that fear from these shadow people that they see? But do they actually ever really harm the person? I haven't.
That's a
heard
good
much
question.
about that.
If that's happened, I'm not pulling any stories, off the top of my noggin
Right.
on that one. I mean, you've seen one, and how did you feel when you saw it?
Well, the thing about the one that I saw, and when I lived in base housing in the Air Force, it was behind the couch that was kind of away from the window, so it wasn't crushing the curtains or whatever. But
Right.
I heard it first. I mean, I heard like something brushing against the couch, and then I looked over because I heard it, and that's when I saw like half of a head
That's right.
that was all black like a shadow. I saw it, and then just like a second after I saw it, it ducked down behind the couch. But the thing about hearing it, I physically heard it brushing up against the couch,
Right.
which is interesting.
That's
to me.
intriguing.
Yeah.
Very intriguing. Like, did you hear perhaps did you hear a physical entity contacting that couch? Were you hearing that contact? Or did you hear perhaps like this, you hear stories about possibly, well, not possibly, you hear these stories about eyewitness accounts, people hearing like popping noises or something, of something maybe kind of crossing through that,
Yeah,
again,
like
that paranormal veil,
popping through that dimensional wall.
right. So like, is that what you heard? Or again, did you hear this physical thing actually contacting your couch?
It sounded just like somebody brushing up against the couch and making that kind of material rubbing sound.
So if that was it, if that was something physically there, how do you wrap your mind around that? I mean, because A, where did it go? B, where did it come from? C, what the hell was it?
And what are its plans?
Right.
But
again, you didn't feel any fear of any sort.
Not for a second. I mean, when I've seen an orb come up next to me on my chair and go down my arm and then zip up into the air, I loved it. I mean, that's something that you want to experience. I mean, that was no bug. There was no way, what it was, because it was, like a foot and a half from my face. And it was, stuff like that is just wonderful. I can't say that that's any kind of a monstrous thing at all. But.
No. Did you, very briefly here, do you remember feeling that on your arm at all? Did you feel like a coldness or a warmth, or you just remember seeing it?
I didn't feel a thing. It was just, didn't feel a thing. But, and this shadow person that I saw when I lived in base housing, what if that dream, could it have been a shadow person that did do that, and it wasn't just a dream, and the shadow person that I saw as an adult. Maybe that's the same one, and it's
The
just
same thing.
been with me.
Oh,
Like other spirits, I've just wherever I go. So I don't know.
they just they pop in every now and then just to remind you that, hey, we're here.
Yeah, if I ever see one, I'm going to tell it, go see Patrick Koffenberg right in his face.
I say, oh, we know him. He's that short guy. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, that's right.
He doesn't believe in shit.
Yeah.
He's unconvincible.
Now, we're going down another road here a little bit, something we've talked about several times, and I kind of jokingly referenced it on, I believe, one of our past Fast Track episodes, like a month or so ago. We're talking about sleep paralysis and, those nightmarish encounters that people who endure them swear to God that this wasn't something that they experienced in their subconscious. It wasn't something that they experienced while they were sleeping. They say that they were wide awake and they could feel and see physical presences, plural, of what have you. I mean, I'll throw that out there again. The night hags. I don't know. That one just sticks with me. I mean, terrifying idea. Something suffocating you, sitting on your chest, Mike, and not allowing you to breathe.
Sucking the breath out of your nostrils and mouth.
Oh, God. I wonder if that's where Stephen King got that short story idea from which one was that? Which Stephen King, which movie was it where all those short stories were included in one film? One where the guy had to walk around the edges of the building.
That was Cat's Eye, I think.
Cat's Eye. Thank you. Of course it was Cat's Eye. One of those scenes or ideas included that gremlin that lived in Drew Barrymore's, or not Drew. Yeah, it was Drew Barrymore. Her bedroom, and it would come out and it would steal her breath.
Oh, that's right. He kind of grabbed her nose with that little, chubby little fingers.
Little fingers, right?
Cover her nose and start sucking it out of her.
Yep. Mike, that terrified me when I was younger. That I mean, I swear there were animals living in my house, in my walls. Same thing when I saw the movie Gremlins. Of course, this little imaginative mind of mine, Stripe from Gremlins is living inside my walls, Mom. No, she doesn't go to bed, you little geek. It's like, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
But again, I wonder, like I asked the question, I wonder if these true alleged encounters are what inspired someone like Stephen King to write a story like that. I'm
sure. Hey, which reminds me, you know how big of a Stephen King fan I've been, and
absolutely, yes,
collecting first editions since the early '80s. I mean, I have first editions of a lot of big books, and I am actually selling them all right now.
You are?
I am getting rid of my Stephen King collection.
Oh my gosh, Mike, that's like getting rid of part of your soul. Are you okay with this?
I am. It's they've been down in the basement. I don't want them to get too moist and.
There's that. Why'd you have to use that word?
But anyway,
are they jiggly too? I mean, what else are you going to call them?
No, they're not jiggly.
Are they turned into pudding?
No, they're pretty solid. I'm looking at them right now. But yeah, I've already sold like 9 of them. So.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, marketplace,
Now, I kind of have an idea where your thoughts are going to go on this one, but I have to throw it out there, Mike. Do you think of aliens, the classic gray aliens, as possibly monstrous in nature? Or are they purely, as we have always kind of thought about them and discussed them, is there any potential? You hear terrifying stories, Mike, absolutely beyond terrifying stories.
Oh, yeah.
Of abductees, with repeated visits from these creatures. I mean, are they purely alien in nature, as in coming from outer space? And something more there?
And the medical experiments and things that they do to the abductees, that, at least they try to block that out. So it's like, you're not thinking of this horrifying stuff. I don't know if they do it to keep themselves protected and not known of, or are they doing this to the humans to help them? But and I've read stories that are supposed to be true where this man was on the table and he's abducted. They were going to do experiments on him and whatever, and he yelled at them that you have no right to do this. And I think it was like a telepathic thing from this gray that said, we have every right to do this.
Oh, man.
It's like,
Wow.
and, there's a lot of things that can go into, a lot of thoughts about
Oh.
what that, the meaning of what that alien meant. So,
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the benevolent message by any means. That sounds like control and some bad intent coming from something like that. But
I think the gray aliens could be more of they're like a hive kind of mentality, where they're like drones, going out and doing these different things that are assigned to them, all the study and the collecting and whatever. Mm-hmm. That's a theory, but I don't know.
Now I'm going down my ultra professional notes here, Mike. Another thing I wrote down was, of course, demons. Longtime listeners know that we have we've beaten that subject to a pulp quite often. But how about these alleged demonic encounters, these demonic beasts? When Zach Bagans films an episode of Ghost Adventures, and is he encountering a physical monster, or is he seeing something demonic in nature, or are they one in the same?
And he should know, because he gets possessed like 8 times a week.
Well, he's a pro. He's a pro.
Yeah.
So
he starts beating the wall, tear his shirt off, and start doing those pec lifts, twitches.
Oh yeah, yep.
Look at this tattoo. I can make her move.
Threatening to punch Aaron. Yeah. Hey, we love him. It's an open invite to everybody, anybody and everybody from Ghost Adventures.
Aaron, you're going to go in that attic and you're going to stay there. No light. No radio.
Do you think of demons as potential explanation for monster encounters, Mike? Again, kind of what we're getting at with this topic, with this discussion. Hence the name, something like a monster. I mean, is there, paranormally speaking, rational explanations? I know people out there, skeptics, pseudo-skeptics, are laughing at that phrase right there, rational explanations for these encounters. But paranormally speaking, are there rational explanations for these monster encounters? And people cannot think of a better way to describe it other than it was something like a monster. Was it potentially an alien? Was it potentially a demon? So on and so forth. What do you think of demon being possibly responsible for some of these alleged encounters?
I think absolutely. I mean, demons, for all purposes, are monsters. I mean, in every sense of the word, and taking it further than being monsters. And if they are real, which I am.
Mike's turning that corner.
Yep. So,
or should I say you have turned that corner?
I have turned that corner, but I think they have the ability to do many things negative, and that's if you think about the biblical thing, and I don't preach or say, oh God, whatever. I mean
certain moments of the night, I know you say that.
My Christianity that I have, I'm on fire. I'm on fire with it. But anyway,
I think that my lame attempt at humor went over your head, I think.
Wow, did you see me react in any way towards what you said?
No.
Okay, so that tells you.
I'm just saying because you and Mary have a red hot relationship, so I'm sure the phrase "Oh God" has been emitted once or twice in your house. Is what I'm saying.
Well,
ha 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 ha.
We try to keep it more like, oh gosh.
Okay, sorry.
But anyway, but yeah,
gosh,
they are monstrous. They are monsters. They will, like I was going to say, if you talk in the biblical sense.
Yeah.
Of our demons, a spawn of Satan. They're his minions, if you will. And whatever Satan wants, these demons are out to just gather up what they can. Attack any person that has that open doubt of whatever, and they're susceptible more of
Sure.
of that kind of thing. I mean, it's all they're going to be is monsters and monstrosities throughout the whole whatever.
Would you consider, and again, I love putting Mike on the spot here because that's what we do best at the Paranormal Zone.
Yeah, and then I can't come up with crap.
Oh, no, you're doing just fine.
Anyway.
You hear about encounters. This again, we're going kind of the more shadowish beings, for lack of a better term. Do you think of the Hat Man, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the Hat Man before. Is that monstrous in nature? In any such way? Is that someone who has an encounter with something and they don't know how to describe it, so they say it was a monster? Mm-hmm. Could the Hat Man be responsible for that? I don't see why not. I mean, some people actually think of the Hat Man as being a demon itself.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, and just like Slender Man or
that's Slender Man too. Slender Man topic bothers me because it's. I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. I mean, it's really intriguing, really cool for sure. Well, cool and air quotes cool, but because Lord knows it's definitely been pretty much responsible for tragedy, the whole Slender Man phenomena.
Right.
I just don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if it's monstrous in nature or just purely contrived human imagination, you know?
And didn't these things that happen, these tragic things, did that happen in like coinciding with the time the movie was released or just before the movie was released? You know, bringing hype up for this movie just to, get that word out there and get some people thinking, like the Blair Witch Project. I mean, how many people thought, oh my God, this is real?
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
I know someone who is very close to me that I will not name on the show who thought it was real for the longest time.
Yeah, well, but that's just how
no, it wasn't Bridget. So just so everyone's clear, it's not my former co-host and still current love of my life, Bridget. It was someone else. Male, a brother of mine.
Okay. Yeah.
Whose name rhymes with Bo.
Well, as long as you don't say his name.
No one knows who I'm talking about. No.
I do. But that poor guy. But I mean. But,
oh my gosh, he would kill me if he knew I said that. But hey, that's fine. That's humor.
But I at the very beginning, I did question myself for a second.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was really well done. I mean, it was.
Yeah. And then, when that close up on the face and the snot bubble came out, I was just done there.
That was monstrous in itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway. Again, I mean, I'm repeating myself, but I'm looking at my professional notes. The Dark Watchers, another, and actually speaking of the guy whose name rhymes with Bo, a couple of years ago we did a brief, it might have been a Patreon episode focusing on the Dark Watchers. If you're not familiar, I encourage you to look into that. Listeners and Mike, it's creepy, definitely creepy, very shadow person in nature. If you like being creeped out. Now, if there's something out there that is almost the pure definition of monstrous, Mike, when it comes to the cryptid world, Wendigo pops into my brain.
Oh yeah, yeah, extreme.
How in God's name do you think you would respond, Mike, if you're out and we're planning our future trek through the woods someday, in our feeble attempts to I mean, it's an excuse just to go camping and have fun, but
we should do it in the fall when it's just gorgeous out there in Chippewa National Forest.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had guests on this show who are professional Sasquatch investigators, researchers, and they recommended particular spots for you and I to check out for ourselves.
And that are close enough and very accessible.
Very close enough and very, very accessible. So let's say, Mike, that we're wandering the dark woods in these aforementioned spots, and you see a flippin' 8-foot tall, indescribable beast with a skeleton-like face, gigantic, ghostly antlers. Right. Any number of ways you want to describe a Wendigo. Now, come on. The person who never gets scared of anything, a.k.a. Mike Carbonell, you'd have to poop your pants a little bit if you saw something like that.
Well, if it was a Wendigo, the stories that you hear about Wendigo and the reason it exists, it puts fear into you it would, and if you actually saw something like that and you have that knowledge of what that is there for, what his purpose is, and it's pure evil, and I would be fearing for my life.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I don't think we can. I'd hate to say that we turn around and run, but I don't know. I really don't know. There's no way you could even imagine how you would react unless it happened.
Yeah. And if you're in the presence of a Wendigo, and you're looking at each other and waiting to see what's going to happen next, I don't think there's any escaping from that. I mean, if it's there to do its job, you're done before it even comes after you. I mean, it's just
another thing that popped in my brain, Mike, as absolutely monstrous in nature that could have a cryptid/paranormal explanation behind it. Encounters with skinwalkers. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. I mean, awesome stuff. Yeah.
Awesome in a terrifying way. I mean, we have to be clear about that. It's like, oh, that's so cool. And, I mean, yes, it is cool to our kind of warped and twisted minds. But
if you ever watch a show, Skinwalker Ranch, that's pretty interesting.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the stuff is outlandish. Of course, it's outlandish, but some of it, it's hard to deny, man. It really is. I mean, people see things, they experience things, they encounter things. And as hard as it may be to believe for all those pseudo-skeptics out there, not everyone is a liar, okay? Just people tell the truth, believe it or not. Half the time, they don't want to share their encounters because it is so traumatic to them. So, I don't know. There's another new word, traumatic. I'm on fire today. I'm telling you that right now.
You're just automatic.
I'm automatic. I'm traumatic. Yeah. I'm jiggling. I'm pudding. I'm moist. All that good stuff.
Moist pudding.
Yeah, exactly. No, don't. That's not going to be a soundbar. That is not going to be a soundbar bite. So don't ever say that again.
It would be good, but you won't. Save a word moist for anything.
Okay, stop it.
Okay, but anyway, so
you know what? I just realized too we're an hour into the episode and I never introduced us, so too late. But anyways, if you are if you're new to the program, believe it or not, we do get new listeners every now and then. This is your weekly dose of all things paranormal, strange, and mysterious. Yes, you are in the Paranormal Zone. My name is Patrick Koffenberg, and Mike, I was going to introduce you as not only the co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy, but this week I was going to call you the man with 1,000 ideas, Michael Carbno, referring to podcast topics. Now, Mike is looking very sternly and ornery at me right now.
No.
Oh, sure. Mike's just steaming. Maybe I should have not said that because now Mike's
my
just
scally is getting hot.
It is. It's turning red. No. Mike, I kid because because it's pure fun. That's all it is.
That's what we're about.
Absolutely. So, the man with 1,000 podcast ideas, Michael Carbno. And very quick, necessary evil plug here. If you do enjoy this podcast, thank you so much. If you're listening still right now, that means you enjoy it, hopefully. Unless you hate listening, which apparently a lot of people do as well. No better way to support the podcast and to give our Patreon page a shot. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month. No obligations. You don't have to stick around. You don't like the content, you can take off. Lots of exclusive stuff there. We're nearing our 80th Patreon exclusive episode. That's right. You have 80 other episodes of this, wondrous podcast magic. Exclusive only on our Patreon page.
Magic from a little box you buy at a 5 and dime store.
Hey, way to sell the content. No, we're passionate about it. We're having a good time. Lots of exclusive video content, lots of stuff from our own paranormal / ghost investigations, and more to come. We are still planning our return visit to the Sally House. Mike, I have not forgotten about that. We are going to do that.
I've been thinking about that so much lately. That
Mike, it's a big discount. All we have to do is, not that we could have booked it anyways, and we'll get back to the topic at hand, obviously. But it's quite a discount. The price drops immediately after Halloween, goes pew right down the proverbial price pipe. But it's very doable. So obviously we've already done it. So
yeah, the first time we were there in November.
Yeah, yep, November 3rd or 4th or something
Yes,
like that.
4th, I believe, yeah.
So I haven't forgot about that. That is still in the cards, and we're absolutely going to do that. I can't wait. And we're not going to be held back by that vicious string that kept us from the basement. No longer. We are two adult men. We can push our way past a piece of yarn, believe it or not.
Actually, I think it was a long shoelace from a woman's orthopedic shoe.
Was it? Oh, that's very specific. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
I got that psychically. That
you did.
Yes, I did.
Okay, Mike. Before we go on too long here, coming up a little over an hour here, I want to share a quick monster encounter here, a quick story. And no, don't worry, everybody. Don't tune out. This isn't story time with Patrick. There's lots of cool stuff in here from monsters of the Midwest. True tales of Bigfoot, werewolves, and other legendary creatures. Are you ready to hear a couple of these?
I love the way you try to convince the listeners. This is good. Stay around. It's good. Listen now. Hey. Wait till you hear this one. I got a great one for you. Anyway, I'm ready. I'm as all hell.
Sorry. I apologize. I could do the shorter one or the longer one. Which one do you want?
Just get a vibe of what the audience would like to hear.
Well, I'll do the one that unfortunately is like a half a page longer, so I apologize.
Okay. Well,
but this is the one that I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It is known as the Van Meter Mystery. It took place, you guessed it, Van Meter, Iowa, back in September of 1903. Now, Mike, you reacted as if you were familiar with either the town or the story.
Well, I have heard of it, and but I can't, say specifics. But
okay,
I have heard of the Van Meter.
Now, this is kind of I don't know how a dramatic writing of an actual account here. Okay, so this isn't a word by word, I guess, retread of quotes and documents about what happened. This is a dramatic writing of it, so to speak. Okay.
Okay, they took some liberties with.
Well, nothing is exaggerated. I didn't mean it that way. I'm just saying it's written creatively.
Okay, it's the real story.
It's the real story.
It's got a little flair to it.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay.
Starts off as such. The little girl sat on the porch steps and strained her ears to hear what the grown-ups were talking about inside. See what I'm saying? It's a little dramatic. She'd been putting together the bits and pieces all day last night, or rather early this morning, when Mr. Griffith was finally coming home. He'd seen a thing.
A thing.
With wings. And a light. It hopped from one building to the next right in the front of Mr. Griffith's eyes. Now one might wonder what sort of monster comes with a light as if it had its own built-in lantern. Okay, that's exactly what
sounds like Mothman or something.
Ooh, okay, I didn't even think about that. It does.
Mothman has the red lit-up eyes. But anyway.
That goes on, the story goes on. Dr. Alcott had settled himself into bed in his room behind the office where he saw his patients. Lulled by the soft rain, he drifted into a deep sleep. But he was startled awake. A bright light flashed through the window and shone in his eyes. He leapt out of bed, Dr. Alcott, that is, and his hand reached out for his gun. He ran outside to see what was going on. All the while, he tried to think of something that would account for this light. And guess what, Mike? There was nothing.
It was a train. Anyway.
Well, could have been.
They got bright lights, I tell you. Oof. If you're driving down the highway and there's a train coming at you.
Large wheels.
Yeah. The wheels look like large buttons.
Oh, Christ. Okay, every time you say that, I have to play it now, Mike.
Buttons.
There you go. Patreon shirt coming up. And then, Mike, Dr. Alcott saw it. It was some sort of a creature, or, as the title of this episode goes, something like a monster. Not entirely human, but not like any animal he had ever known. In the center of the creature's forehead was a single blunt horn.
Blunt horn. He's beaten with a blunt object.
Must have been, and it just stuck. The light appeared to be coming from said horn. Dr. Alcott grasped Grasped. My gosh, now I'm English all of a sudden. He grasped at his weapon. He grasped at it. Alcott grasped his weapon and fired. And is wet on. Oh,
Quit
okay.
while you can. Don't do that. Oh, God.
See,
Now
that's
we
the
lost
part that...
about 10 listeners.
So I clear my mind. I time travel a bit. I lose my mind for just a moment, but I'm back.
Okay.
Now, after he grasped at his weapon, he hit the beast, yet nothing happened, Mike. He fired again and again and again, only until he had one shot left, I should say. Not wanting to waste it, he fled back to his office and locked himself inside. He was left to face the night alone, knowing that some indestructible creature was out there waiting. Buttons.
Was he taking the shots, or are they passing through him? I wonder. Was
He just said he took shot after shot after shot, and nothing happened. That's all that is said here. Okay. Now, the very next night, Mike, September 30th, 1903, the same little girl walked slowly down the street. The grown-ups were again whispering. Even more so than yesterday, something else must have happened. She clutched the list in her hand and went into the grocery store. The grown-ups in there could not stop talking. While the clerk measured out the flour, the little girl observed the silence. Maybe if she pretended that she were invisible, they'd start talking again, but guess what? They didn't. She counted out the coins and said her thank you. She asked, "Do you really think it could be robbers?" Oh, no, she didn't. One man asked, I'm a terrible storyteller.
Get it right.
Do you really think it could be robbers? Asked one man to another as she walked out the door. Just before the door shut all the way, she heard the other answer, "I don't know. Whatever it is, it ain't good." Well, then one Peter Dunn said good night to his family and pulled the door shut. Don't worry, we're almost done, boys and girls. Instructing his wife to lock it behind him. He shifted his shotgun so it rested on his shoulder. He was comforted by the weight of it as he walked. He let himself into the Van Meter Bank, where he was employed as a cashier and settled in for a night's watch.
And he's got a gun.
He's got a gun. Well, Mike, the townsfolk are talking.
Yep.
If there were robbers descending upon the Van Meter, he was going to make sure that they did not get into the bank. At midnight, he counted out the 12 chimes of the town clock. He began to wonder if his night watch duties were even necessary. An hour later, the clock clanged once. A strange noise followed. A gurgling of sorts. Gurgle,
it's
gurgle,
gas
gurgle.
coming up through the toilet.
That's what I heard in the Sally House basement.
Yeah.
Or the living room with Mike trying to sleep.
Yeah.
No, you weren't trying. You were sound asleep. I was trying to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
His senses... Oh, my Christ. His senses were at attention. His skin prickled. And the hair on his arms, the hair stood up on his arms as if in salute. Yes, sir.
And his penis decided not to salute, and it shrunk.
You promised to never utter that ugly, ugly word ever again on this podcast.
I did. Well,
shame on you.
At least I didn't say moist in the same sentence.
Or moist penis.
Oh my God.
That was terrible. That was. Okay. I'm sorry. That was way too far.
We're going to get.
We're going to get banned. Yep. Sorry. But not really. Before he could investigate further, a bright light shone through the front window, trapping him in a spot of light. It wasn't until the beam of light moved away that he was able to see a large beast.
With a blunt horn.
The light swept back again. Peter aimed and fired at the monster. The glass in the window crashed all around. The creature simply disappeared.
Yeah, see?
When morning dawned, Peter searched outside, expecting, perhaps hoping, to find a dead or wounded beast. Instead, all that he saw were the giant tracks of, guess what? A 3-toed creature.
So it is physical.
Physical. He vowed to make a plaster cast. Yes, he vowed to make a plaster cast of one of them as proof. Now, October 1st, 1903. The little girl skipped down the street. She stopped suddenly when she got to the bank. The front window was missing, and Mr. Dunn was sweeping up broken glass. "What happened?" she asked. He paused in his task and looked at the girl. "Nothing," he said. "Just an accident. There's nothing to worry about." The girl studied him as if she wasn't sure whether she would believe him or not. Peter simply went back to sweeping the glass. Now, later that night, one O.V. White was asleep in his room over the hardware store. He was startled awake by a strange sound like a wood file rubbing against another. Very specific description. Now, grabbing his gun, he darted to the window. He threw it open and peered out into the rainy darkness. As his eyes adjusted, he saw a dark figure. It was perched on the crossarm of the telephone pole about 15 feet away. But he didn't have the light that the others had talked about. Mike laughs at everything I read.
This is interesting.
He aimed carefully and fired. Instead of killing it, he only seemed to wake the monster. It turned on its light and studied him. What's with this light? Every time you shoot it, or try to shoot it, it just shines a light at you and say, "Hey, buddy, stop that."
It's just phosphorescent plankton that they eat. It got
There you go.
stuck on their horn.
A strange, awful odor overtook him, Mike.
It's got to be an odor. It smells like rotten eggs and propane.
And then get this: not only was there an awful, rotten odor of propane and eggs, he felt like he was being held in some sort of trance.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Move on to another one, Sidney Gregg. He's so cool. He has 2 first names.
I hate that.
He was asleep in his store when he was startled awake. A lot of people have been startled awake. And guess what? He was awakened by a gunshot that came from across the street. He rushed to the door and stared at the creature descending from the telephone pole. So obviously this is related. He's reacting to what Mr. O.V. White just did. Using its large beak in the same way a caged bird. Why do you keep laughing at everything I say?
Because when you said large beak, all I could think of was Toucan Sam. Anyway.
Ooh, Mike snorted. That's good.
I did.
Now, using its large Toucan Sam beak in the same way a caged bird climbs around, it made its way down the pole. Now, that's kind of creepy when you envision that.
And it was probably spinning around seductively all the way down.
Hopefully, yes.
With
Hopefully,
the legs sticking out.
Very seductively.
Down the pole.
Some lingerie draped around its beak.
Yeah, a bra that doesn't fit correctly.
That too. Now, when this creature got to the ground, it flapped its featherless wings. These wings are featherless.
Well, they're more bat-like then.
Yes, it was at least 8 feet tall, and the light on its head was as bright as an electric bulb.
Mm-hmm.
The creature flapped its wings again and hopped up and down, up and down, up and down. As it did at the same time every night, the mail train passed by. Hey, you mentioned the train. The sudden noise seemed to surprise the monster, and it flew away in the direction of the coal mine. Now, this is where the story finally ends, so everyone can take a deep breath. The very next night, late night, October 2nd, 1903, the little girl again was startled awake in the middle of the night by pounding on the door. She heard her father go to answer it and crept to the hallway to listen. "Hurry, we found it," said the man's voice. "Platt from the brick plant saw it come out of the old coal mine. There's 2 of them. Bring your gun. We're going to wait for them to come back. And tell your wife to leave the lights on. Everyone is leaving their electric lights on for the rest of the night."
And we'll leave the lights on for you.
Absolutely. The townsfolk are a-gathering. Without another word, the girl's father turned on the lights in the living room and kitchen. He grabbed his coat and hat and shotgun and followed the man out the door. The little girl's mother took the girl's hand and settled her back into her warm, safe bed. But the little girl couldn't fall asleep. She could only think about the creatures with wings and light horns on their heads.
Light horns.
That sounded almost Christmassy in nature.
Yeah.
After tossing and turning, her nose smelled the coffee and breakfast, the telltale signs of morning. That's a good morning, not morning like someone's passing. She heard her father come in. Again, she crept to the hallway to listen. "We waited all night," he said to his wife. "At dawn, they finally came back. I've got to tell you, I've never heard so much shooting. The whole town seemed to be shooting at them, but they just looked at us and descended down into the mine."
Sheesh.
The little girl heard her mother gasp. "Don't worry," her father hurried to continue. "I came back to get my shovel. We're going to seal them in."
Everybody get your shovel.
Yeah.
We're going to bury this cave.
Get a digging. Get a digging. Now, feeling brave enough to go into the kitchen, she stood in the doorway, her bare feet cold on the floor. Come, said her mother, patting the spot at the table to where her father sat. He swallowed the last of his coffee and stood. He patted his daughter on the head and kissed his wife on the cheek. Do not worry, he said again. Those monsters aren't welcome in Van Meter, and we're going to make sure they don't come back. The townspeople barricaded the entrance to the coal mine. The two winged creatures have never been seen again.
What if it was a mated pair, and you just killed off like the last two of the species?
Species! Oh, the Van Meter people killed the species.
Didn't give them a chance to procreate and regenerate their species.
That's awful. I didn't even think about that. And of course, that's the first thing that Mike goes to is like,
well,
was there a lovelorn couple of indescribable animalistic? Good God, can we wrap up this episode soon? I'm becoming more and more mushy mouthy as we go along.
Animalistic.
There you go, animalistic. Thank you, Mike. Ufta. There's that word again, ufta.
Ufta fida.
Okay, we have fun, we kid, we joke, we jest. That's just what we do at the Paranormal Zone. Mike, if this is real in nature, this is something like a monster. What kind of monster pops into your brain to fit this description? What the hell are we possibly looking at here? You said Mothman right away.
Well, yeah, it just had some similarities, like the lights, but not the same light, because it's, like I said, it's the Mothman has the two red glowing eyes, but it has like the wings, the winged part of it, humanoid in form, but the way it's described,
roughly the same size, roughly, right?
Yeah, but it still seems to me that they are two different creatures. But
yeah,
it could be the equivalent of each other. It's just in a different region, and it's called something different because they're always named by the people that experience them or see them, or
right. Of
it's
course.
not like my name is Mothman and I'm going to bother you for the rest of your lives.
It's right there on my driver's license. Moth H Man. Yeah.
But
So it a really possibly dumb idea just popped in my brain, but I'm a fan of all things prehistoric. I like dinosaurs. I always have since I was a kid. How about the possibility this is a surviving relic of some sort, Mike? That again, the people of Van Meter just killed off for good. But maybe it was some flying reptile, some sort of pterodactyl, some sort of pterodon, Quetzalcoatlus. Say that 5 times fast. Quetzalcoatlus. I mean, those things are ginormous, so this was like 8 feet tall, so I don't think it was that. But again, they have the large beaks, of course. Some of them had protruding bones sticking from their skulls, going in the opposite direction of this supposed light. But again,
one of them eats Fruit Loops.
One of them ate Fruit Loops, of course. One of them made a very nice living making commercials for Fruit Loops. It's just an idea. It's a possibility.
I mean, that's what we're about too, is like coming up with these theories and possibilities and talking through them a little bit.
So, I mean, I hope that we've made this fairly entertaining. I mean, I hope the gist of the episode is fairly understandable. But we kind of wanted to talk about, alleged monster encounters and their potential paranormal, how do I want to say that? The potential that there is something paranormal behind these monster encounters. They're not seeing like a quote unquote monster, as the description goes, an imaginary creature that is typically large, ugly, and frightening. There's something paranormal that is behind this. Something perhaps cryptid that is behind this. Again, you can't ignore the possibility of the imagination merging with reality. Exaggerations are a very real thing. Tales that are shared generation to generation, they tend to get more and more elaborate.
Embellished.
Again, descriptions of nightmares. Mike, we've talked about this. How often do people's quote unquote memories they're actually derived from something that never happened, but they've shared the same story over and over and over throughout their lives, that their imagined experience becomes real to them. That's just how it is. These alleged encounters possibly being real in nature, something physical, something organic. We're not dismissing that by any means, but you can't deny the reality that a lot of it simply isn't real, Mike. Just to put it as simple as that.
Boy, I feel like you just read me a bedtime story.
Yeah, that explains why your eyes are closed right now. Yeah. Mike's like, wrap it up, will ya, you flippin' schmuck.
But speaking of pterodactyls, why is it that you can never hear a pterodactyl go to the bathroom?
Oh, God. Why, Mike?
Well, the P is silent. Cricket, 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 cricket. Buttons. I know I butchered that joke, but it is.
Oh, you didn't. You didn't.
Okay.
No, I heard a really good dad joke the other day that maybe puts a little illumination on the reality of a flat Earth, maybe, Mike. But
really, well,
I just gave away the punchline. But it's like, 80% of the Earth, 80% of the Earth is covered by non-carbonated water, so the Earth is flat. Good one, right?
I wish I could just bring up a Ray Liotta laughing right now.
Oh, I'm so sorry. All right, Mike, briefly to wrap it up, we need to, but that creepers story that my friend and I went through, the gist of that is there was a very real kind of string of house break-ins around the couple blocks where my friend lived back in the day. Again, this is going on 40 years ago now. Yeah. And
it was your brother Joe.
Yes, it was. Everything blame it on Joe.
Yeah.
But not, I don't remember anything ever being stolen, but it was just people, kids, probably our age, who were just getting their rocks off, sneaking into people's houses and
looking
doing
for
their
cookies and desserts and pastries.
Who knows? Maybe. But it was when you experience that for real, because there was one night, Mike, and my friend's name actually was Mike as well. We experienced that. We were playing in our yard, doing whatever. His parents weren't home. They were out doing whatever, and it's one of those fun weekend nights. We knew about these, what we had come to call the creepers, because the neighbors were talking about it. Like, keep your doors shut or keep your doors locked and windows shut and all that stuff.
Close the shutters.
That too.
Batten the hatches.
But Mike, it's again, it's not going to sound creepy to you or the listeners, but it really creeped us out when that happened. When we came around, I don't remember the details, but we're coming up to the front door, going to go back in the house. We're the only ones in there, and the door that we know was shut was wide open. Things had been moved around in that damn house just in that short amount of time that we were probably in the backyard playing, and some of these little bastards or whatever, whoever it was, got in the house and then disappeared without a trace. Quick. I mean, it's creepy when that happens. The silly idea that I texted you when we were discussing this topic, I was like, I wonder if that could somehow was that somehow paranormal in nature, Mike? Well, did we have some little creepy ass shadow people running around town at that time? Yes, laugh at me all you want, but kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Well, yeah, it sounds to me like there's just a group of poltergeist punks out for a good time,
I love it. Yes, some poltergeist punk band that's out there just causing a ruckus.
They hit a house and off to the next.
Off to the next.
Yeah.
Again, it sounds lame to you guys, but man, as an 8-year-old kid and to actually experience that and trying to go to sleep at night later on, knowing that some weirdo was in that house and then had gone and left, undetected, it just makes you not feel safe. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Well, and when they left, did they leave a smell of lingering fish or anything like that?
No, just lingering fish.
It lingers.
Nope, just sulfur and all that good stuff,
Yeah,
Anywho's old Mike. Any final words besides
buttons?
Yes, we better wrap this one up. This has been great, Mike. I think this went pretty well. Hopefully our listeners enjoy it. And again, let us know.
I hope so.
Mike's just like, good God, wrap it up, you
No,
dork.
I enjoyed this quite a bit, of course, and like
Good.
like Drew Barrymore says at the end of every one of her shows, her episodes of her talk show, we do this for you. Take it with you. I watch that show faithfully.
I thought Drew Barrymore was right here at that moment.
Well, it's a great
Wow.
show.
Well, I'm sure all of our listeners are leaving us.
Couple of nitwits.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, anyways, we hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll let you go for now. Tune in. Well, I guess it'll be 2 weeks from now before our next flagship episode. We will get another YouTube episode out there. We will get some more Patreon exclusive episodes out there. We're not going away, anybody. Unfortunately, we're sticking around, so deal with it.
Absolutely.
Mike, until next time, what do our paranormal pals need to do?
Peace out.